What did I expect from the creative presentation class? Well, that's a good one. For a guy that hasn't been in school for a while, I was expecting to just learn how to get back into getting into school. And not quite sure, kind of excited about presentation, but wasn't sure exactly what it was going to bring to me. So I don't know if I really expected anything. I was just crossing my fingers that I would be able to stick it through this time and actually enjoy the classwork that I had. Did the class meet my expectations? Well, actually, it exceeded my expectations. First off, there was in the first week we talked about a time we had in some type of presentation that we had memorable, and that was my speech classes that when I was younger I just failed horribly at. I didn't realize that the first class I'd take at Full Sail was basically going to be a speech class, and I enjoyed it immensely. I enjoyed it. It allowed me to be able to figure out what I was missing when I was younger. Maybe it just was my time to be able to do it now, since I do understand how to give presentations and speeches in front of formal audiences now. But I will be honest that I was pleasantly surprised by the things I learned, not just the way to speak, but also the patterns and the waveforms, or as the book said, the code or the codified version of a presentation. I've had ideas in my head on how to actually present, but this was able to allow me to tweak it in certain ways that actually made those presentation ideas that I had even better. So I was very happy with what I learned over the course of these past 4 weeks. What is my biggest takeaway from the course? Well, the literature that we were able to get, from Resonate to Slidology. There were so many things in there, and I'll be honest, Resonate was much better in my opinion than Slidology. So I don't know if it was just that I felt more through that book, but through those things, I pretty much soaked it up like, almost. I don't have a photographic memory, but I feel like I just really remember a lot of things on every one of those pages. Enough to, when I sat down at the dinner table with my dad from time to time when I went to visit him, that I would just tell him all the different things, like, the JFK speech, the Reagan speech, to Steve Jobs, Martin Luther King's Jr. speech, all these different things and how they were broken up. And it actually gave me a lot of excitement. And my dad was actually a speech and debate and drama major. So he actually enjoyed hearing that because he kind of understood it, but he didn't realize there was a code behind it. And he could start picturing it too. So I was able to take the things I learned on how to give presentations and actually flip it to be able to show exactly the way to be able to do it right, and I was able to express it to somebody else that had that same type of love. So my biggest takeaway is to be able to do what I'm doing right now in front of you, in front of this camera, is to be able to present, to be able to understand like the vocal toolbox and not just stay kind of at a monotone voice, but to be able to rise and pitch and have these different registers to be able to talk different. I even took a chance on trying to figure out how to talk way up in my nose to all the way to talk in my chest, which I do as a coach. And when I talk in my chest, people listen more. And so I understand that a little bit more, and I didn't realize I was doing those things throughout my life, actually. So I guess there's no single biggest takeaway I could take or give you from this, but there was a lot that I took from this course, so I appreciate it. How well have you met the requirements of this class, and what are you especially proud of, and what would I do differently? Do I think I met the requirements of this class? I think I met the requirements. Could I always do better? Of course. There's no human being that ever says that, that was perfect and there doesn't need to be any change, right? It's like, even when you make films, that's what I'm going into, is that they may say perfect, and then all of a sudden they come back and they say, well, we need to take another retake of this so that way we can make it even better. So I think I met the requirements based on Mrs. D, based on your requirements through the class, as far as following, making sure we met the plans of every week. Reading the books, obviously, I just explained that a little bit too. Just being able to really soak in and learn how to be an online student. That's another one that I think the class actually helped start us off with. What am I especially proud of? I'm actually especially proud of my presentations and giving my live feed. As much as I am a digital cinematographer or just a videographer in general, is that I'm actually relatively new to this. I started this because my volleyball work had me do little video segments on my phone to once the pandemic hit. And the next thing I know is that I was great at doing the video, but I had never put myself in front of the video, so I was actually afraid of it. I found myself saying a lot of things. I still do it a little bit, but I found myself repeating certain things that shouldn't be said, like or things like that. And the problem with that is that for me, when I watched that, that would take away from what I was trying to express across the camera. But when I watched my video over the first one that I actually had to submit all the way down to the last final presentation, even though there's still some things I always wish I could change a little bit or I should have changed, I actually felt like there was a better progress of it. So I actually showed my parents the last video of it. And again, I just noticed that I said, but I showed them the last video presentation I had that I submitted to you. And my dad was in tears because he thought, wow, who is this guy? I actually showed my grandfather, who's 94 years old. He didn't even know it was me. He was like, oh, is this your teacher? Is this the person that you express all your ideas to? And I said, no, Grandpa, that's me. And so that was kind of a big moment for me to realize that three people that I hold really high in my book saw something different. Even at my older age, I know I've said that a couple times in this class, but you realize that you wish you could have done something when you were younger, but even at my age now, that they're really proud of me of doing something different. So that made me proud because they were proud of me. As far as what I would do differently, definitely would end up saying just to give myself more time. There's so many ideas. I'm setting up things, and being a cinematographer or videographer is that you're setting up sets, you're setting up green screens, you're setting up lighting, you're setting up cameras. And the problem with that is that you take all that and then you have to go to retake and you have to set it all up again. Is that if I would have filmed earlier and then just taken more takes, then I would have had more edits to work with, and then I would have had more time to pretty much doll up or to change up or to, CGI, even though I don't know quite CGI yet, but even just to make the presentation pop a little bit more, in my opinion, right? So that I did end up learning, but I just learned that too late based on the video side of it. As far as the presentation side of it, as far as doing that, I don't know. I mean, I think I learned, I know I learned a lot, and I don't think I would have done anything different as far as the progress of learning it. Just implementing would have been something. But I think that's not only this class, but I think that's something I learned throughout the course of my education at Full Sail University. So that actually leads me into the last question is, how do you think the skills you learned in this class will help you in your remaining classes in achieving your goals? Knock out of the park type of thing. Is that without this, I don't think that I could have been able to do everything else that I have for the next 27 months. Without being able to do this, how do I get in front of the camera to be able to present? Whether it is as a sports broadcaster or a videographer or just a documentary and something along that line, whatever I end up going through after my time at Full Sail, I wouldn't be able to do this in any of the other classes. Obviously, I think in some of the other classes, mathematics or whatnot, I don't know how much this would apply for. But for the bulk of what I'm actually getting my education for, I think this is just phenomenal. I mean, I will know what I want to do in front of a camera, but I will also know how to get somebody in front of a camera to present what I want them to present. So if I'm making a short film or a full feature film or a documentary, a commercial, whatever it may be, I will know how to get them to be able to get the proper usage of whether it's the golden circle or the vocal toolbox or a spark line, all these different things that we learned in this class, to be able to really get that video to show exactly how I want to be expressed as the director, as the producer. Whether I'm in front of the camera or behind the camera and having somebody else do it. So I think, I have introduction to film, I have all these post edits, all these different things. This is the stuff that I'll be able to piece together, because I don't think that you can go into post edit in any type of videography or cinematography and not have an idea of the spark line. Because now, for me, I understand better that if I were to film a portion of the movie at the middle, and then film the end and film the beginning, it doesn't matter. At that point, what I'm able to do is be able to piece those tracks together, piece those edits together to form that linear line that we want to, and the being able to the what was to the what could be type of thing. And so I think this class will actually do a whole lot for me for the future. But I do understand the idea behind being thankful. And when I find something that is of value to me, I have to be overly thankful to that person, because I know how much it meant to me. So, not to sound like a brown noser or whatnot, but I do want to say, Mrs. D, that thank you for your time these past 4 weeks. It was phenomenal. I was able to learn so much. I mean, you will not understand how much that I was able to apply this, and my family saw a difference in how I did things. And overall, it was also how I taught them, because I also learned that presentations can be put into the way you do things in life. As a parent, I tell my kids what to do. But through this presentation, I learned that if I believed in something and have them believe with me, it was easier to have them be able to make those changes. So again, some of these things you can just totally apply to regular, normal life. And I appreciate that. And it was fun. That was the other thing, is that I never got bored. I was always excited. But like I said, sometimes I wish I would have given myself a little bit more time. But I think that's just over the course of my years here that I will learn how to do that properly, because I'm still kind of new as a student. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your time, and thank you for teaching me in the class. And I hope to see you.